Are the Utah Utes using private equity not just to help enhance the university itself, but to also position themselves in a better place in conference realignment? Because I think Jake Hatch is the first person I saw bring this up of Locked On Cougars when he said, hey, that 5 to 7 years could also match up when a lot of the conference realignment chaos will take place. Big Ten was very close to a private equity deal not long ago, but Michigan and USC held it up. So obviously the conference, a lot of the decision makers think in a way that Utah is too. Philip, do you believe this move is part of Utah trying to position themselves to get into the Big Ten Conference?
The Utah Utes should have one overarching goal outside of winning a national championship, and that is to get into the Big Ten Conference. JT, you know it. I know it. Every single listener knows it. It has to be the pressing thing that's on our mind all of the time. It's survival. It's about lifting the brand of Utah. It's everything. How can Utah get into the Big Ten Conference? That is the root of this private equity deal, 100%. Not fall behind over the next 3-5 years when the Big Ten eventually does expand again to be one of the premier candidates, which Utah already is, but to remain there in a competitive sense, especially in football, in that 2030 time range to get into the Big Ten Conference. So that is the number one goal for sure. And how are we going to do that? How would Utah do that? What can we use this private equity fund to do? So if we have a $500 million war chest that we didn't have access to before, you're not going to invest in NIL, meaning player retention, driving players from the portal, recruiting directly, but instead you're going to use this money to pay off debt at the university. You're going to use this money to do other things at the university that will free up money that's currently going towards debt and other sources to move over to the NIL. So a lot of the booster money that's going to be coming in is going to be going directly to NIL rather than going to multiple places. What effectively that does indirectly is lifts your NIL budget considerably. And guess what? Everybody, if Utah is going to be successful in this private equity deal, they need to win football games and win basketball games, but mostly win football games because that is your product. That's what the fans are paying for. And you like it or not, JT, the one group that's going to be paying the most for private equity, do you know who that is?
The one group? Are you talking about like the Big Ten Conference?
So this private equity deal, okay, who
are you talking about
out of everybody, who do you think is going to be paying the most for Utah's private equity deal?
Ooh, I'm not sure. You tell me.
The fans. We.
Ooh.
I hate to say it. Like, so when private equity comes in.
Oh, you mean hurting the fans?
It's not hurting the fans. It's actually basically it's monetizing the fans, making the fans pay a little bit more for the fandom, for their tickets, for the food that indirectly is going into NIL. That's effectively what this private equity deal is doing. It's not like you have a Cody Campbell that's throwing a ton of money in sponsorship, but you're basically asking more of your fan base by charging higher prices, and that's funneling over to the NIL eventually. But really, we as fans, ticket holders, watchers of Utah football, lovers, stakeholders, we're the ones that are going to be paying more for Utah consumption of watching Utah and loving Utah. That's just how it is. And so we, the fans, need to see wins on the field to keep doing that, right? So Utah, to be successful in the private equity deal, to eventually get into the Big Ten, to lift the value at the athletic department, has to win. And to do that, you have to spend a lot in NIL, getting transfer portal players, recruits, retaining the roster to win football games. That is the crux of this whole thing, but it is all about the Big Ten underneath.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I agree with a lot of what you're saying too. I think what's interesting is when I feel like we are still heading for super conferences eventually. I could be wrong. Yeah. We could also be in a world where the Big Ten's like, hey, our members want to just continue to eat up the money we already make, not have to split the pot up even more by adding a Utah, which is an interesting theory as well. I'm curious, Professor Philip, as you did a great job outlining all of that. Because for me, if it's like, okay, the Big Ten expands again, if they were going to expand again, I could see them maybe going to 20 plus teams, maybe 24. Yeah. I don't know. What number do you think is likely? And where do you think in line right now in terms of teams that are not in the Big Ten and SEC, do you think Utah is in the conference realignment expansion draft?
I think Utah shakes out right now in the 23 to 24 position overall. So Utah, if the Big Ten does go to 24 teams, Utah has a very legitimate shot at getting in. That's even been
Are you
reported
saying
on, like the
23 amongst,
speculation,
really quick, 23 amongst like all programs, you're saying?
all programs,
All programs. Okay, so I
all
was only talking about
all ACC Big 12 programs. You're looking at, let me clarify that. You have
yeah.
18 teams in the Big Ten right now. So I'm
Yes.
talking about 23, 24th position after the 18. So you'd be roughly like 5-6 position, right?
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where Utah stands right now. They're like in the top 6, certainly in the top 8 of candidates for the Big Ten. The Big Ten likes Utah a lot. They like Kansas a lot too. Brett McMurphy's reported on that. That's been the chatter and stuff. Those are the 2 Big 12 teams that have a lot of interest from the Big Ten, Utah and Kansas. And guess who really, really likes Utah, JT? USC.
Oh,
The USC
really?
Trojans. The relationship that Utah has forged over the years in the Pac-12 with USC has made USC basically a quasi-sponsor for Utah to get into the Big Ten. Will that be a swing factor? I don't know. But I'll tell you what, lifting the value of your athletic department by this private equity deal and making it more profitable and bigger and winning on the field, that helps. And getting in now, so we have first movers advantage over the first year or 2 before other schools jump into this pot and get those NIL resources is an advantage, especially if realignment happens in 3 to 5 years. So that's why, for all these factors, this is a brilliant play by Utah. It really is. And I love every part of it, but it does just have some slight risks. And those risks really, if you don't win football games and you start losing money, then it could be an issue.
Yeah, it's a great point. If Utah were to start losing, it's even more problematic in some ways now, but it feels like this position, in large part because of this investment, is in a better spot to try and win those games. Mention Utah's 5th and 6th in line. Who do you think's ahead? Like Notre Dame jumped to my head right away. Is Tech high up there now because of what they've been able to build NIL wise? Is Miami above that? Or who are the teams that are ahead of Utah in your mind when it comes to conference realignment?
Yeah, so number 1's Notre Dame, 100%. That's who the Big Ten wants. They would add them anytime. Number 2, by far the number 2 is North Carolina. North Carolina is number 2. Number 3 is University of Virginia. The University of Virginia would be in 3rd position. Now there's a war. Why? Because these are the schools that the Big Ten went after about 10, 15 years ago when they were trying to add Rutgers. They had to add Rutgers. They love those markets and stuff because it's basically that break-even point right there where you're on the cusp of the SEC and you're grabbing big markets. In Virginia, you're grabbing D.C., you're grabbing the whole state of North Carolina, which is just, I think you know this more than anybody, JT. It's just expanding like buku and stuff. There's so many college-age kids right now coming into this, like in North Carolina, the growth is insane, but they want to fight over those students. And plus, like, those are wealthier states as well, which helps. And that kind of fits the Big Ten's mold. So number 1, Notre Dame, number 2, North Carolina, 3, Virginia. And then it's going to Miami. Miami would be in 4th position. After Miami, that's when Utah gets some consideration. Utah is benefited because they're in the mountain time zone, right? And these Western schools, they want travel partners.
Yes,
they don't want to be flying everywhere and stuff. So Utah is in a pretty good position, but Utah needs to lift a lot of things like more research spending, get the enrollment up to, and of course have this on-field product and lift the athletic department. But they're doing those things. They're trying those things. And this is really the future if we want to see Utah really reach its peak, JT.
And I'm excited to see that because I think there is definitely a chance that Utah can continue to build the momentum needed to get themselves in a premier spot for conference realignment, which does feel like it's a matter of when, not if. One thing, Utah's making their moves in private equity. The Big 12 is on the verge of making theirs as well. What are we talking about? We're going to tell you in one moment. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight, every moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props, updates as guys heat up too. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results total, and more. It keeps you locked into every step, every drive, every snap, every possibility. And it's not just NFL, it's college basketball. We still got college football, obviously. How great was the college football playoff these past couple days? And we also have the NBA too. So if you want to get in on the action for NFL or any sport, head over to FanDuel. Visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you with FanDuel Sportsbook. That's going to do it for today's Locked On Utes. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Talk about the latest stories with Utah Utes and the Utah Athletic Department.